Part 7. This is the final stage of dashboard design. You've made it this far. You're almost there to publishing your first ever dashboard to Tableau Public to showcase to the world how awesome at Tableau you are. In this video, we're going to walk through filters, dashboard actions, and navigation buttons. Let's start with a filter. Let's go ahead and let's go to this bar graph, the expenses bar graph. Let's say for some reason, your client wants to be able to look at the data by month. They want to be able to basically kind of get an understanding of which month overall throughout these years has, the highest number of sales or expenses. I don't know why somebody would want to know that, but we're going to do that. One reason why I actually left this month and year field as is, instead of sort of hiding them or deleting them after making the date calculation, is because sometimes you use them for filters. So in our case, we're going to use the month as a filter. So go ahead and click and drag that onto your filter card. And here it's going to give you some options as to what it's going to show. I'm going to start by clicking all and clicking OK. All right, so nothing's changed, and that's because I haven't really selected like a particular month at this point, right? I'm selecting all months, so it's good that nothing has changed. But how do I actually, work with the filter? I don't see it anywhere other than here. If you click on the month in the filters card and click show filter, aha, now it's gonna pop up. And I'm really only interested in viewing 1 month at a time, but this gives me the option to view a lot of different months at a time. So for example, if I uncheck all, I could check January, February, March, April, and that's gonna sum up all the sales for these donuts for these months that are selected. That's not really what I want. I'm gonna uncheck those, check all, and then I'm going to click on that little downward arrow. And here it gives me the options of how I can interact with this filter. So for me, I am going to click single value drop down. Now, how this filter works is I can click individual months. And this is looking not just at April of 2019, this is looking at all Aprils for 2019, 2020, 2021, all the way through 2023. It's a cool way I can get a really quick sense of, hey, are there significant changes in different months? Again, I don't really know if many people would use this. Oh, many, my dog is excited about it though. I don't know if you heard her barking in the background. Okay, so that's how you can add a filter, but this filter is currently only applying to this dashboard. I wanted to the sheet. I want it to be able to apply to not only my expenses and all of the sheets in this dashboard, but also all of the sheets in my sales dashboard. And there is a great way to do that. So if you go back to your bar graph, you down click on the filters pill and you hover over apply to worksheets. Here you can apply to all of the sheets that use this data source, or you can select particular sheets in which you want to use. And this is where that color scheme comes into play. Let's say I only wanted it to work for my expenses. I could check everything that's red. That's why coloring your sheets can be really helpful if you want to filter specific dashboards differently. I'm going to hit cancel because in our case, I actually just want to apply it to every sheet that uses this data source. So now if I click January and I go to my dashboard, everything here is going to be January. Look, if I hover over my line graph, I'm only seeing January data. And the same happens for my sales dashboard, which is really freaking cool. I mean, it's just magic. I'm going to change it to all so that it's showing everywhere. That's a really basic introduction into filters. But where is it on my dashboard, right? I want my users to be able to use the filter so that they can play around with the data. How do I add it to my dashboard? Well, it exists everywhere. It exists in all of my sheets. So all you got to do is click on one of these sheets. It can be any one. Click on that little downward arrow, scroll to filters, and find that month filter. And there we have it. There it is. It pops up on the right in its own little container. We have to change the formatting again. I don't want it to be this multiple choice thing. I want it to be that single value drop down. However, when I click on this downward arrow, it's actually selecting this whole container and it's saying, hey, what do you want to do with this container? I actually don't like it. So I'm going to remove the container because I don't need it. And then I'm going to click on that downward arrow again, and I'm going to change it to a single value drop down. But it kind of looks like weird, right? I mean, I don't like the look and feel of it. It's moved everything to the left. There's this huge gap of nothingness. So one thing you can do is click on that downward arrow again and make it floating. I rarely use floating for my sheets, but I often use floating for my filters because this gives me a little more flexibility as to where I put it. The formatting isn't great, so I'm going to change it like we did with the sheets. I'm going to give it a white background. I'm going to give it a gray border and change the inner padding to 10. For some reason, the outer padding doesn't default to 4, but I'm going to do it anyways. And then I'm going to make this a little bigger, boop, so that you can see all of it. Make this a little shorter. Month isn't the best naming convention for filters. It's better to give instructions for your users. So I'm going to say select month. And that is a better way to, indicate to your users, hey, if you want to change what you're seeing in the dashboard by month, select it. And here you go. I mean, how cool is that? It changes the entire dashboard, and that's a filter. Another way you can create a dynamic way to filter the dashboard is through dashboard actions. So on my dashboard, I'm going to go over to this tab right here and scroll down to actions and click on that. And here's a great description of actions. So this feature lets you create interactive relationships between data, dashboard objects, other worksheets, and the web. So it's a little more versatile than just adding a filter. In our case, it's not going to be more versatile. It's basically going to be a filter. But when you get more advanced in Tableau, dashboard actions are awesome. Okay, so we're going to add an action, and we're going to make it a filter action. Let's name this bar graph filter. So what I want to happen with this action is I want my users to be able to click on one of these bars and have the entire dashboard filter to whichever donut type they click on. So if they click on old fashioned, I want only the old fashioned lines to show up, as well as the old fashioned column and row to show up in the table. So my source sheet is where I want them to click to do that. And that's going to be on the bar graph. And we're on the expenses worksheet. I want them to be able to do it by clicking. So I'm going to select for the run action on. Now my target sheets is going to be everything except my bar graph. It's the 2-line graphs and the table. And I'm going to check show all values when they clear the selection, because I want the dashboard to basically go back to the way it was. And hit OK. Then I'm going to hit OK again. And now, when I click on one of these bars, it filters the entire dashboard to that. If they click on the bar again, it resets to everything. And the cool thing is they interact together with the filter. So if I click old fashioned and I just want to see January, I can, which I think is, again, it's like freaking magic. Tableau is so cool. So that is how you can apply a filter and how you can apply an action. Let's go ahead and do that for sales. We're going to do the exact same thing. First, I'm going to add a filter by selecting the downward arrow for any sheet, clicking on month. I'm going to remove that silly little container. I'm then going to make this floating and change it to a single value dropdown. I'm going to change the size. There we go. Let's change the title to select month. And then do my little formatting changes. Give it a white background. Give it a border. Outer padding of 4. And, oops, there we go. Inner padding of 10. Okay, I'm gonna try and kind of put it in a similar-ish spot. Let's just do that. Okay. Cool. So far so good. We have our filter. Let's test it. Nice. Oh yeah, everything's changing. Love it. So cool. Now let's add that dashboard action. So we're gonna go dashboard, actions. We are gonna add an action, another filter. This time, let's rename it to bar graph sales filter. Yeesh, there we go. Our source sheet, that is tough to say, man, is our sales dashboard, and we want it to be the bar graph. So I'm gonna uncheck those. Run action on select. Our target sheets is everything but the bar graph, and we want to show all values when the selection is cleared. Hit OK. Hit OK. Whoa, look at that. This is why Tableau is fantastic, because it is an interactive dashboard. It's not just some picture on a PowerPoint slide. It gives users the ability to answer so many different questions all in one place. That's why I love it. The last thing we are going to do in this video is navigation. I want people on my Tableau public page to be able to navigate between donut sales and expenses. If we were to just publish this workbook as is, they would have no ability to do so. We need to provide a button for them to be able to swap in between these two dashboards. Luckily, Tableau has just the thing for that. It is over in objects. If you scroll down, it's called navigation. So I'm going to click and drag this until it sort of hovers above this guy right here. I'm going to move my filter just so you can see it. And here we have a navigation button. So if you double click on it, it's going to take you to the editing page. When I'm on my expenses dashboard, if people click on this button, I want them to be able to navigate to my sales dashboard, right? This is a way for them to swap. I'm going to give it a title other than just navigation. So let's call it sales dashboard. And let's change the background color to match the blue theme, as well as give it a tooltip that says click on this button to navigate to the sales dashboard. And hit OK. Cool. You can leave it tiled, or you can click on this downward arrow and make it floating. And then you can sort of maneuver these however you want, right? So you can put it all the way over there, have your filter maybe like line up with it. You know, I'm not a graphic designer, but that looks pretty good. Okay, let's try it. So to test it in our workbook, you have to click Alt, left mouse click in order to test whether or not the feature is working. When it's actually published, users just have to click on it, and you know, they don't have to do alt click to navigate between the two. Alrighty, we're gonna do the same thing for our sales dashboard. So we scroll down, hover over our objects, bring in a navigation tool. We double click on it. We navigate this now to our expenses dashboard. The title is expenses dashboard. We don't need a border. Enter the tooltip, which is click here to navigate to the expenses dashboard. I'm going to change the color to one of those reds and hit OK. Nice. And then I'm going to select on the downward arrow, change it to floating so it looks a little bit nicer, and make this bigger, bring the filter over, you know, just trying to make it all look good. Maybe make it the same size. Yep. Let's see, and then we test it. Yeah, I love it. The very last thing we always want to make sure that we have is if we have dashboard actions or navigation or filter, that we're providing instructions on how to use them. So for the filter, we have that by just saying, hey user, select the month, right? It's pretty straightforward. For this button, we have a tooltip that appears if the user hovers over it, right? Where it says, click here to navigate to the expenses dashboard. What we don't yet have are instructions for our action. So let's just go ahead and add that. We can add it in our title. So we double click there, we hit enter. We can just add in a little blurb. Click on the bar graph below to filter the entire dashboard by donut type. I'm gonna just make this a wee bit smaller. Let's maybe make it a 12 and hit OK. And then let's navigate to our expenses and do the exact same. Click on the bar graph below to filter the entire dashboard by donut type. And 12. That is the end of our beginner Tableau series. You have made it all the way through to build a highly professional, customized, interactive dashboard where people can come and answer questions like, which company sells the most donuts? Which company had the greatest expenses? How has that changed over time? What donut types are the most popular? You can figure out all of that information on these two dashboards, which is just so freaking cool. Last thing you gotta do is save it. So go ahead, file, save to Tableau Public, but this time, unhide your work. So how you do that is you just go to your hidden tab, more actions, show viz on profile. And now you have your very own professional grade donut dashboard. Congratulations. Super proud of y'all. It's always great to have more Tableau users in this community. If you're looking for inspiration, feel free to go to my page or look at those that I follow or other vizzes that I've looked at basically. Like I said, really leverage Tableau Public. There's just so many great resources here for you to continue expanding your own skills and get inspired. As I mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial, if you're interested in continuing to deepen your skills, I do plan on creating an intermediate tutorial series as well as an advanced, where we will use our donut dashboard, but improve it and add in other data sources, etc., etc. Thank you so much for watching and welcome to the Tableau community. See you next time.